So after practice, I would sneak out and go to these vineyards. And he was like, yeah, you can come tomorrow. And I feel like these farmers, they know when it's going to rain. And the next day, it was like pouring rain.
I know. The farmer's almanac, the weather predictor.
Oh, he did. And I just had a brand new like Maserati. And I was like, you know what? That I'm going to drive my car through this gravel in the mud, rain. My car was jacked up. When you start a business, call your friends. Like first,
sure.
You know, and I called Reggie Bush and Matt Ryan because I knew they both had wine cellars. And so those are my first two clients, and they're like, yeah, you can curate our wine cellar. That's all good. So the next move, finally, is, yes, going to start making wine.
I mean, was there a point in your career where you started to get introduced to the sommelier lifestyle?
I know, I still can't say that word.
I practiced 100 times before this episode. Let's go, baby. It's another episode of the Athletes and Assets podcast. I'm your host, Noah Lack, and I bring on some of your favorite athletes to chat about a business topic. Today, finally locked him down, man. We got a 12-year NFL veteran, Super Bowl champion with the New York Giants, wine sommelier, a top 40 under 40 tastemaker according to the Wine Enthusiast, co-founder of Wine MVP, Providence, Rhode Island's finest, but he's on the West Coast. You know what I mean? We got Will Blackmon. Will, it's about damn time.
I know. To be exact, it was September 4th. 23. You were gracious enough to reach out, but man, I had so much going on, and it's calmed down. So finally, I've been able to jump on more of these. So I'm glad we finally got to.
Man, unbelievable, man. I'm glad we got it done. But Will, what we do here is skip the small talk. So we're gonna jump into the wine.
Listen, I am not a small talk.
Yeah, no, not a small talk at all.
Like at the airport, don't bother me. You know, I want to say don't bother me, but just like, I don't give off small talk vibes. I don't mind it, but I don't look forward.
So we're not talking to you at John Wayne International.
John Wayne, I don't mind. It's an easy airport.
Okay,
it's good.
Okay, so when it's a lax airport, your vibes are more approachable.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Well, we're gonna cover a lot of the wine stuff, but we definitely want to pick your selfishly want to pick your brain on where you are right now with Boston College. You're helping them with strategy. Helping them, you right now balancing, doing the wine MVP and senior analyst at Boston College. And in your opinion, from your vantage point, where are we right now with the chaos of particularly the transfer portal and NIL, and how do you handle that as now someone on the other side?
I would say just we have a strong group of players that came from BC that played further along that would love to come back and support, but there was not an organic connection for me. That was tough because that was the biggest thing that I think we were missing to build a football community, especially in college world. You need everyone, and so I had issues with that. And when Coach Hafley left and there was a huge vacancy open for a head coach, I immediately thought of my roommate Al Washington. He's a position coach at Notre Dame right now. And I thought he would be interesting because I was like, I can't really think of any candidates because everyone else was locked up. And so then Coach Bill O'Brien's name started floating around there. Like he's from Massachusetts. Obviously, he was at the Patriots. He went to Brown University. So he's New England through and through. He's a former head coach. He was at Houston and had a winning record there despite, it not going as well as they planned. And then he pretty much saved Penn State from the death penalty, after all those crazy allegations they went through. And when it became legit, like he got the job, I was like, okay, this is great. Because we needed somebody. If it wasn't Al, because Al he knows how to recruit. He knows what BC's all about. But Coach O'Brien, I think he's exactly what we needed in terms of, honestly, I think I know, in terms of that kind of pedigree. So it was really cool when he got the job. And then I congratulated him. And then he gave me a call. And we were talking, and he wanted to get to know me more outside of playing against him. And he asked me would I be interested in coming to BC. And it's funny because I totally had zero. But I thought of all the things that I just mentioned about the disconnect. And I was like, well, shoot, this is my chance to actually directly impact it. Like, if you got a problem with it, like, go do something about it, And I was one of the guys that I would never come back to BC. I had no interest coming back to BC. I came back once because I got inducted to the Hall of Fame. I wasn't missing that. And probably within 30 seconds, I was like, sure.
Yeah.
I went from zero interest to instantly, because I think quickly, and I was like, you know what, this is my chance to directly impact what's going on. So I told him, I was like, if you get me, I said, I guarantee you're going to get the rest of the alumni to come back. And sure enough, I said I agreed. I flew out to Boston for spring football, and I just got right on the phones. And actually, I got a lot of text messages, a lot of former players saying like, hey man, now we have a reason to come back.
Yeah.
So instantly, like, Matt Ryan came back immediately. Gaza Charles came back. Everyone's coming back to the school to support, and it's been cool. And it's been fun. And now my role is unique. I'm not one of the 11 accountable coaches. So I am a senior analyst, and basically I'm like a consultant on the staff. So I help oversee like a lot of strategies for defense. I do alumni relations, hence, like I said, all the alumni coming back and keeping them involved. And then I help with recruiting. And even recruiting is interesting. I'm not allowed to like go visit kids.
Yeah.
I'm not allowed to.
But is it different now? Well, I mean, do you feel in your eyes it's recruiting, or has it sometimes feel like bidding? I mean, in this
yeah. So this is what I'm getting to. It's just my role is unique, but I'm still allowed to recruit, and it's funny because, right, you do have the portal, you do have, the NIL, you do have all these things, but you still stay true to the essence of like finding guys, developing, but also too, like, you have to find guys that fit the criteria of your program. You want high character, you want guys that actually, you don't need to be a 4.0, but at least like go to class, Like I didn't have a high GPA. Yeah, I didn't just have a book.
Yeah.
Like you don't even read it.
Possession of a book.
Just be in class. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. And I wasn't like a great student, you know what I'm saying, but I at least went to class, and then obviously guys who are willing to compete and who are willing to earn it. I feel like especially in our society today, like everything has to be handed to you. Like guys are afraid to go earn it. Like when I was playing, I wasn't afraid to like lose.
Yeah.
I didn't want to lose, but I wasn't afraid to like go after it, and knowing that's a possible.
What was your GPA?
It was probably like a 2.1.
Okay.
Maybe. I got to check. Might have been a 2.1.
Hey,
yeah.
that's eligible, right? You're good.
That's eligible. I was able to play.
You're good. Don't even worry.
Yeah. Here's my problem is once I knew the future, I kind of like chill a little bit. Like when I was in high school, once I got all my offers and I got like cleared to like I was eligible to go to accept my scholarship, I kind of was like, all right.
You were senioritis defying. You were bona fide.
Beyond. And then once I knew I was getting drafted, I was like, all right, I was chilling. So yeah, it's a unique situation with the NIL because it's like an uncapped free agency. It's a lot of these legendary coaches are retiring because it's like I would say, I guess the playing field is a little. It's not evened because you still have to have a certain amount of, money to spread amongst the players.
Sure.
So, but I would say maybe in like, I don't know, like Nick Saban's case, let's say he's recruiting a kid and, so is Toledo recruiting the same kid. But then the kid's like, well, Toledo's going to give me $200,000, Where back then it was like if Alabama offered you, it was Alabama.
Yeah.
Like I don't,
Yeah.
it is what it is. It's like if Coach Krzyzewski, recruited you, but you're like, yeah, but Santa Clara is going to give me like $300,000.
Yeah.
Coach. So.
Well, unfortunately, I wish in your case, too bad most of the players are under 21. Else you could add the wine MVP to the BC NIL collective bonus package. But it's not really going to happen in college, huh?
It's not, but still no one. It's unique because then like you have to recruit a kid twice. It meaning sure you can recruit him and then he commits, but then after he commits, he's like, okay, like how much? Now this isn't the case for like all the kids. It might be like 2 or 3 kids.
But probably the prospects you really want, like 4 or 5 stars, they're probably dealing with that.
Yeah, if that's the case, I would say like I haven't had haven't necessarily had to have those conversations with some kids. Like it was just genuine. Like, hey, I want to come here. I want just a great college experience and possibly get my degree, possibly go to the NFL. And obviously, I'm the poster child for that because I was able to do both. And then, you know, when it comes to the portal, you know, that's a unique situation too, because one, you know, you only have so many spots, you know, especially if you're trying to keep and develop some of your players. Now you can do what Dion did in Colorado, and he did a complete overhaul.
Yeah, that was
you know, and a lot of people are trying to build through that. Now I would say the portal's great for maybe you're missing like that one guy in the secondary or a big time quarterback or
sure.
But it's great also for linemen, you know, because you want mature, developed guys. So it's a whole lot, you know. It's like it's almost not that much different than the NFL.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I understand the whole portal thing. Like, yeah, you won't.
Sorry, that was a lot. It was a long-winded answer, but it's I can't shorten.
No, I understand. It's such a like your perspective is so interesting because, you know, I'm sure you go back and forth. It's like, damn, you know, these guys should get their paper, get their bread, and go to the place that, you know, can take care of them and their family and try to get an education while they're doing it. At the same time, you know that the best teams have some sort of level of continuity in character, and it's hard to build that when guys are, you know, it's like a constant reshuffling. But then you flip on the other side. Coaches do this all the time. They leave, and so, you know.
Right. Well, no, Coach O'Brien was the offensive coordinator at Ohio State.
Yeah.
Full on.
Yeah.
And then this opened up and shoot.
It's a business, man. It's crazy. So I wanted to make sure I had to ask you that because, you know, in this sort of orbit of your life, being a solopreneur and a college football coach, it's pretty rare. I don't know many other guys that are doing that. I mean, do you know any guys that are in your position where they have a completely different business and are also on staff somewhere, or, you know, helping us?
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people do. Maybe it's not like as public as what I'm doing, but you know, I know some coaches that have, you know, maybe a real estate business back in their hometown, a trucking business somewhere. So like there are guys that are doing stuff elsewhere for sure. It's just not.
They're just not as cool. Just not as cool as the wine MVP.
It might be cool because they're probably making a lot of money. So, that's what I learned. I was like, cool is the books. Cool is not like, you know, what you're doing on social media.
No,
like,
for sure.
You know, you got that positive cash flow.
That is cool. That is really cool. Did you get into wine in the NFL? I mean, was there a point in your career where you started to get introduced to the sommelier lifestyle?
I know I still can't say that word. You're up north, so you can say that word.
Well,
properly.
dude, it took me like I practiced fucking 100 times before this episode. I was on Google hitting the pronunciation button. It's tough.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm such an American. I just say sommelier or som. That's what I say. I'm a som. Yeah, it was. So I started, you know, my rookie year is when actually my senior year in college. I remember my roommate Matthias Kiwanuka. He had like this little wine rack on in our kitchen, and so I didn't know what it was. We just enjoyed wine. And my rookie year came in, I was still enjoying wine, and we also signed Charles Woodson that year, who already had his own wine label.
Yeah.
24 Wines, Charles Woodson Wines, and I mean, first of all, he had such an unfair advantage because training camp was in Napa when he was on the Raiders, which is.
There you go.
There you go. That's crazy. Right there in Napa was training camp. Are you kidding me?
That's unfair.
Oh, that's so cool. And he was somebody that I, you know, watched and followed in college. It was cool to see somebody I admired as a player, somebody who's a pro athlete in the wine space, and, you know, also an African American, you know, guy in the wine space, which I thought was all pretty cool. Because when I look at the wine world, I'm like, how the hell do you even get into that stuff?
Yeah,
you know, I knew nothing, and so I thought you had to be born in it, your family, you know, have a vineyard, all kinds of crazy stuff. And so I just enjoyed it. He always took us out to dinner. That was like, he never hazed us. He just wined and dined us, which was pretty cool. And so we would go to like dope restaurants on road trips, and he would order like really cool, you know, really nice wine. And I just got curious. You know, I think me being the youngest of three, I was the curious one, you know. I was always observing, and so I wanted to know more. So I started like reading, online articles, trying to watch all kinds of documentaries, started to like try to buy books and magazines, just try to read everything. And it was, I learned a little bit, but it wasn't until I finally saw which is on Netflix, and I know which was probably the biggest movie in the Bay Area in the wine space. And that's where I was like, yo, where the F did they do that? Like it was pretty crazy how they were just able to, look at a glass and just take you to the vineyard, which is pretty dope. So I ended up researching like where can I take a class like that? And I found out near me, one of the master sommeliers, Peter Neptune, he had his own school, which offered the WSET, which is Wine and Spirits Education Trust. And so that's you have Wine and Spirits Education Trust, people call it WSET.
Yeah.
And then you have Quarter Master Sommelier, which is CMS. And so they offered 1, 2, and 3, and I just immediately just took level 2. I came home, took level 2. It was like an 8-week course.
This is how you get certified to be a sommelier. You have to take a course.
This is how you get certified to be a wine educator.
Okay.
Is through the WSET. And
it's
so
like the SAT, but for wine?
Kind of.
Okay.
See, a WSET. And I took that and passed the level 2 with a merit. And as soon as I did that, it was mind-boggling because it really helped me be like non-subjective and really open-minded to like the whole wine world. And there were wines where maybe even if I didn't like it, I understood why it was made like that. And so it really opened my eyes. And it was cool now to go to these wine shops and see like the vineyards and who the producers and the AVAs and the varietals, all that stuff. And so I just went down a rabbit hole. I did WSET 2. I went and took Quarter Masters level 1. And then through my studies, I found out when I was playing for the Redskins at the time that Virginia had a wine region.
Okay.
And there were some vineyards maybe 15 minutes from our facility. So after practice, I would sneak out and go to these vineyards and ask these vintners if I can work on their farm. Like, they're like, why the hell do you want to work here? I was like, because I'm trying to like really get to know what it's like. And so it's just shout to Fabiola Cellars. That was one of the places that let me go there and help out. And it was funny because when I asked him, he was like, yeah, you can come tomorrow. And I feel like these farmers, they know when it's going to rain. And the next day it was like pouring rain, gravel.
I know. He had the farmer's almanac, the weather predictor.
Oh, he did. And I just had a brand new like Maserati. And I was like, you know what? Fuck that. I think he's testing me. So I'm going to drive my car through this gravel in the mud, rain. My car was jacked
So you had a
up,
new Maserati. You drove it through the rain just to get to the wine spot.
Because I felt like he tested me. I think he was like, he don't want to do this. And I was like, nah, I'm going to do this. And so I showed up. Car is jacked up, muddy. But I bought my rain boots, coat, and I worked on the vineyard for a couple hours with that dude. So it was pretty cool. And then I went back to school. I went to Sonoma State. They have a wine business program, which is a 2-year program. And so I ended up taking that, got the certification. So I was like, you know what, if I want to get into this space, I need to at least understand the business side of the wine world. Instead of me just, because I'm not trying to, I didn't want to jump in and just be like, here's this athlete in the wine world. Here's this athlete just putting his name on stuff. Like, I wanted to like know my shit. So I went back to school and really got to learn the business side because I really was like, okay, I want to do something with this. So that's kind of.
You take classes at Sonoma State physically?
No, I did it online.
Okay. Yeah. I was gonna say they're gonna try to recruit you for their D2 team. They're gonna be like, hey, who is this new recruit on the candidate?
Yeah. We'll see. No, my eligibility's up.
Yeah.
I did all 4 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how I sped up my education in wine. Is I did WCT 2, I did CMS 1, I did certified. I didn't pass certified. I think it was the written part when I did Quarter Masters. But what's crazy is never worked a day in a restaurant in my life, but I passed service, which I was mind blown. I can't believe that was the hardest thing ever, was the service portion of the exam.
Okay.
It's crazy.
Wine is so cool. Like, the wine business industry is so cool to me. I know you went to school to, get more educated on the business side of it. But unlike, I don't know, investment banking where or becoming a doctor where you need to spend years and years, tinkering around and et cetera. I think the gateway entry point to someone getting into wine is to just living a lifestyle that exposes you to a lot of awesome wine, and then knowing the right
Yeah,
people.
it does in a sense, but if you kind of want to be taken serious, especially, if you're African American or if you're a woman, like you really need to have your ducks in a
Sure.
row. You really need to go in and get these sort of, even like you could work abroad at like in a really cool vineyard, but then if they look at your resume and they don't see that you took any of these classes,
Oh, they
they're
want to
like,
take you
okay,
seriously.
well,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think it's still important to go through some level of training and education just to have those.
Sure.
And plus too, it's cool to do that because there's probably a lot of like things that you may have learned outside that you may have to learn inside. That's why I'm saying, like, for me, when I took these classes, and I was pretty, people came to me as like the wine person when I was playing, but when I took these classes and really got to understand certain little details, like I found out that if you know your geography like pretty well, you might be, that's like 70-80% of the battle is geography.
Okay.
Because if you understand like climate, you understand regions, you understand where certain places, areas are, then that's literally half the battle. Because once you understand climate, then you can, okay, this wine is probably going to be like this. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the biggest thing. I was on what is it? Som TV, right?
There's a Som TV.
Yeah, they're the ones who did Som, the
Oh,
documentary.
okay.
Jason Wise.
I gotta
so
tap
they
into
have their
that.
own. They have their own channel.
Okay.
And they had these blind taste stories. So I had to do a blind taste battle, I guess, with Master Sommelier Laura Manick.
Okay.
And former Laura Fioravanti. And so I had to bring her a wine and try to like stump her. And I'm like, well, she's a master. Like there's like, how am I gonna get her? But knowing climate, I was like, okay, I'm gonna get her a Chardonnay, not from California. I'm gonna get it from South Australia.
Damn.
Because the temperature was similar.
Well,
in a sense.
Okay. Little trickery there.
Yeah, so sure enough, I
secret.
brought it and she guessed Napa, and I was like through the roof because I'm like, she probably thought I was gonna bring something obvious. So I think she would have got it if she really studied. And it's been a while for her, and I think she kind of was thinking like he's gonna bring something obvious, and I didn't.
Yeah. Can you walk me through the process of becoming a sommelier? Is there, you talked about the certification for wine education, that process.
Yeah. So in quartermasters, so I write when I talk.
All good.
In quartermasters, you have intro, you have level 1, you have level 2, you have advanced Somm, I believe it is, and then you have
That sounds like a video game.
Oh, like different boss levels?
Yeah, it sounds like you have to defeat different bosses to be the master wine sommelier and be able to have the rights to distribute your alcohol to people across the world.
Excuse me. So you have intro, you have certified, then you have advanced, and then you have master. And so that's that's for sommeliers.
Yeah.
And so the intro, I mean, you have a written portion, you have a tasting portion, you have a service portion. So the written part is called theory.
Oh, that's gotta, man, out of the 3 you just named, like, can we skip to the tasting portion? Like, you know what I mean? No.
Yeah, I mean, the theory is a beast.
Okay.
Because that's all the, like I said, all the stuff you need to know from an academic education standpoint. So yeah, that's that. And then for WSET, you have level 1, you have level 2, you have level 3, and you have level 4, which is diploma. And then another one you have Masters of Wine, which is a different one. A lot of wine people in the UK, they do masters of
Okay.
wine, which is pretty big out there.
Okay.
So
And when did you officially become a sommelier? Do you remember like a specific year?
yeah, so I only did intro. I never officially finished certified. I still have to go back and take the written part.
Okay.
And but like I've been working in the wine space so long, people were like, "Man, just say you are." I was like, "Yeah, but I'm not. I'm not officially like I don't have the pin that says, "Oh, he passed certified."
Got it.
But
But clearly you've had enough substance to get you to where we are now, which is the wine MVP. Can you talk about the opportunity, the genesis of the wine MVP and a little bit about, this concierge service that hopefully I will become a member of soon?
yeah, so as I was mentioning, after doing all the education stuff, I was like, man, I want to now take this and find a way to, I don't want to say the word capitalize, but more so like share.
Sure.
I like sharing. So I was talking. I got a group of the consultants, but I call them wine dads. Like, it's a group of these men who were in the wine world forever, and they just crush it. And,
Wine dads, nice.
And I thought about making wine, and they were like, "Look, you can have the best grapes, you can have the best label, you can have the best whatever. At the end of the day, you have to be able to sell wine. That's the name of the game." And so, and a lot of these guys, they had businesses prior that they sold, and they're like, "Okay, well, I got money, I want to go start wine." That's kind of what they did. And so for me, I was like, well, yeah, I mean, we're doing okay, but I don't have like that capital to go buy a vineyard.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
You don't have a blank check.
I can create a business. Yeah, I can create a business plan and raise money and do that stuff. But I wasn't even there yet mentally. I was still playing at the time.
Right.
And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to hold off on the wine thing too. And plus, if I want to do it, I want to do it for real. Like, I didn't want to just, custom crush somewhere, have someone make my wine. I just put my label on it and then I go about my business. I want to be like all in. And so I was like, you know what? Let me take all the stuff that I learned and that I enjoy and let me create wine experiences for people. Because like anything, I learned that if you try something new, you have a really cool experience, you're more likely to probably, stay with that and want to know more. And so I created the Wine MVP, which is it's a concierge where we do. I start off with cellar management. I started doing tastings and trips and private dinners and big events. So anything to help elevate people's wine experience.
Wow.
And so it's funny, when I first started it, they say when you start a business, call your friends like first.
Sure.
And I called Reggie Bush and Matt Ryan because I knew they both had wine cellars. And so those are my first two clients, and they're like, "Yeah, you can curate our wine cellar. That's all good." So I went out, bought wine for them, and took care of
So
their
what was
cellars.
Reggie Bush asking for? Like, well, he's like, Will, I need the Malbec, I need the Pinot Noir. Like, well, what do I ask
Yeah, no, he
for?
wasn't. Reggie wasn't picky at all like that. He was just kind of like, just make it look cool, And I wasn't, and I'm cool. Like I wasn't trying to get him like knock him over the head with crazy expensive wines. I just got him some like cool, interesting stuff.
Okay.
Matt Ryan knew what he wanted. He was like, I got a bunch of. He said New World wines, and I'm like, okay, if you say New World, then I'm like, Matt knows his shit. And he was like, I need some Old World wines, and so New World is U.S.
I figured
more domestic, and then Old World is obviously like European.
So would you say, do most of your clients or athletes, do they care more about sort of the aesthetic of the cellar like Reggie, or the specific choices like Matt?
It's both. It's both. Yeah, it's some guys already have their cellars built, and they have a pattern that they want to maintain, and then some guys they just want what they want, and so it was pretty cool. And so I started doing that first, and it started catching a little bit of wind of like, okay, this is pretty cool. You have this athlete who's trained to become a Somm, and I remember Mike Jones, he covered the writer Mike Jones, not the rapper. He covered me when I played for the Redskins. Exactly. And we always do that with him. It's so funny. And he worked for the Post at the time? Sorry, Mike. Mike's my homeboy. Here's the thing with me. I don't know what any of my friends do. I'm just their friend.
What do you mean?
I'm just their friend. Like my friends, we connect because we're friends.
Sure.
And
But you should ask.
I
You
never
should know what your friends are up to, right?
I know what they're up to, but I'm never like, we never discuss work. I think that's the benefit of like being friends with me. I'm never like, I'm a break from work. Anyhow, so Mike, that's a different topic. So Mike, he reached out, was like, hey, I want to do a story on what you're doing. It's pretty cool. I'm like, yeah, all good. So he came out to California, and we went to the wine exchange where I started training at as well. And he wrote this story, and I thought it was going to be like a column somewhere, like not important. And so he, the next week my phone is going crazy. And come to find out, he put it on the front page of USA Today Sports on what I'm doing. And yeah, like the first person to call was Stan Kroenke, which was nuts. And then Drew Bledsoe called, and all these people were calling because they were like, man, it's really cool, like what you're doing. So like I'm getting like respect and validation on what I'm doing. So that really, pushed me forward to get going.
Push the brand forward and everything.
Yeah.
And so can you talk about the literal business model of this? So, I pay you a subscription fee and you're sending me different kinds of wines. Is that correct?
Yeah. So the first thing we started a club where it was a 2-bottle club, and it was pretty, and I just wanted to find a way to get wine in people's hands, And so the interesting about a wine club is it's a great marketing tool. It's a great way to get people excited. You're not going to, unless you're just like crushing it and making your own wines, you're not really going to see, great margins in actual wine clubs. And so we started 2-bottle. Just again, once the article came out, I was like, I need to get wine in people's hands. And so we started doing that. And then eventually, once I was able to find a person who can help me with the hospitality concierge side, and it was Chrissy Delau, that's when we started now activating that stuff. So what happens is that we'll get it's pretty, we should deal with like high net worth because it's just, we try to do really cool bespoke stuff.
Sure.
And we'll get a request like, hey, we're trying to do a special dinner, or we just rented a house in West Hollywood, or hey, we have our company in Vegas wants to do a big wine tasting. And so we'll get hired for a lot of those things. Like right now it's kind of hot season right now up in Northern California. So I'm literally on the phone curating trips and trying to get people going and what have you. So we started doing that, and then I wanted to rebrand and really make the wine club, I guess, a little more elevated, because like $80 2 bottles is kind of whatever. And so I ended up linking up with a new vendor where I was able to like I go through like 100 wines, man, and just try to find 4 high-end bottles, so where I can send them to you. So now we have 2 different tiers, where the lower end tier is $199 for 4 bottles, the middle tier is $399 for 4 bottles, and so we're eventually going to open up a higher one where it's $1,000 and you get like some pretty cool stuff. Yeah. And so again, I picked these bottles and send them to your house. Again, it's doing okay, but like I said, for a wine club, it's very, very tough.
Sure.
Because I'll be transparent. Like if someone sees a wine in there and they're like, oh, I can go winesearcher.com and get a better deal. Like, okay.
But I'm sure a lot of people don't necessarily. I'm sure people like that idea of not needing to, trusting someone to give them the good stuff and not necessarily having to go.
Yeah, like people do, like the ones that are signed up, they like the curation.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, just do it for me. It's going to show up. And I'm also, they're part of everything that we're doing.
Yeah, because you have events.
You'll get the real, I can't think of the word, but just that those people in the wine world that are like really skeptical, like, oh, I'm going to join the wine club just so I can pick his shit apart. Like, okay, like, have fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But the next move finally is going to start making wine, and that's going to be pretty cool.
I was gonna say you have all this wine knowledge. You made the decision to be a distributor of the best versus focusing on your specific bottle.
Yeah.
very, I guess, interesting choice given that so many athletes now are trying to make their own labels.
Yeah, it's well, it was unique. I've been flirting with this idea for a couple of years now, and I just want, because I want to just do it right.
Right.
I had plenty of opportunities, like, yeah, like send the check, let's do this, hire this person, let's just get something out. I was like, no, I want to build this and have it be sustainable. And so something happened last year. I got invited to do a tasting for about like 200 people in Boca Raton.
Nice.
It was a full on like class, and it was cool because I just get off the stage and I just turn into a comedy show, and I just walk around and just fuck with people the whole time.
That's your marketing though. That's how you probably get.
Yeah. So it was really cool. And then afterwards, they're like, "Oh, these are great. Are these your wines?" I'm like, "No, they're not my wines, but they're in the club. So if you sign up for the wine club, you will get these wines." But here's the thing, Noah. As soon as I said the word no, I think I lost her. Because she said, "Are these in your wine club? Is this your wine?" I said, "No, it's not my wine. You can get the wine in the wine club." As soon as I said, "No, it's not my wine," I felt like I was like Charlie Brown's teacher. I was like, wah, 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 wah. And so right then and there, I was like, they are joining this club because of me, not so much because of this actual wine.
No,
You know
it's
what I mean?
you. I think what I'm learning, like the concierge, this whole concierge business model, whether it's wine or something else, the person who runs the concierge, they have built up relationships where people are
Exactly.
trusting them versus the actual product. It's almost more about the experience rather than the actual.
Right, the actual product. Yeah, so I'm glad you said that, because the L'Hermitage Hotel in Beverly Hills, they asked us to do like a Super Bowl event when they played here, Rams and Bengals.
Right.
And they gave us a whole rooftop, and so we were curating the event, and then Jordan Winery heard about it, and they asked if they could be the wine sponsor. It was their 50th anniversary, so it was like a perfect time to collab. And I was like, yeah, that's totally cool, man. And so they came, curated it. We did like a cool elevated tailgate, like instead of like regular hot wings, like the hotel made like these honey bourbon, like fancy chicken wings, which was pretty cool. But after the event, now when people have Jordan wine, they think of the great time they had in LA.
Yeah.
And so those are the kind of things that like you said, it's not so much, the Jordan Winery is a great brand, but it wasn't so much that, it was like the time they had when they had that bottle.
No doubt. It's and one thing that I like about what you're building is with the wine MVP, less about the wines. Like, you've done events, you have an incredible network. Like, there's whole sort of subsidiary benefits of I feel like, of being a member here, because of your clientele, also the events that you do. I'm sure that's also a big a draw.
Yeah, it's a draw on both parts, because when I do these cool events, usually I'll reach out to wine companies like, "Hey, would you want to take part? This is who's going to be here." And usually it's like, it's another marketing. Right? Yeah, it's another marketing tool for them. Now I try to do my best to make sure like the ROI is good. I'm not just like getting a bunch of like expensive wine, but I try to just make sure I try to do right by them, because that's how I roll anyway too in this space. And I think that's what's been really good for me is like when I reach out to people or whoever, I always ask, how can I help them? Obviously in mind there's going to be some sort of transaction, but if I can just make this super organic and genuine, because I really do mean, like, I try to be as organic, as genuine as possible. Yeah. And so I really lean on try to help them. But as you mentioned earlier, right, like I that's what made me start this business, is I built up such a strong network of people in the entertainment space, people in the wine space. So right now I'm curating a trip for a certain player, and he wants to get into hard places that are hard to get into, like French Laundry and press and all that.
If you're giving French Laundry access, brother, you got something much bigger than just a wine company. I'll tell you that. Yeah.
So, but they're I call. They're like, "What do you need? Well, let's go. What do you need? We'll make room."
When is his reservation? How like?
In a couple weeks.
Couple weeks. You got him a reservation at the French Laundry in a couple weeks from now.
Hey man, just be a good dude.
Okay. My man said he's
That goes a long
in.
that goes a long way.
Wow.
That goes a long way.
That's very impressive.
Yep.
You know, and I want to definitely cover this, Will, like, you know, with all the stuff you got going on, you know, even before we started recording, I asked, man, how big is your team? And you said, it's you. It's just you. How the hell are you doing this as a solopreneur?
Yeah, that was funny. You asked, and I said 0. I have 0 employees. You know what? I think because I'm still at a stage where I'm trying to make sure like everything is fine tuned before I really need to bring somebody in.
Sure.
Especially once this business is in a place where it's really scalable, then I think it's necessary to bring on a team. But right now, which I learned to do like on my own, is I just started outsourcing, you know, people. Meaning, you know, when we do events, there's a woman I hired, and I, you know, pay her a fee to curate all these events. And, you know, she has a strong background. She worked for Visa. She worked for the Niners. She has all kinds of other stuff that she's done in terms of hospitality. Like that's her role. And so I do that. And then I have, instead of, you know, me having a warehouse, I outsourced like a third party company that does all the picking and packing and shipping for me. I pay them a fee to do all that stuff. So I don't have any overhead and anything. I can just do everything at my house. And they're also based in the Bay Area too. So anytime I need something, I find a company that provides those services, and I just, because they already have,
they're already there. It's easier for you to outsource now than you know.
Yeah, they already have the infrastructure, you know, because God forbid, you know, I'm in a situation where, you know, we have a dead period where we're not making any money. It's like I still got to pay these people.
Yeah, no, for sure.
On staff, you know what I'm saying? So right now, yeah, and plus I'm so in particular of like I want to make sure things are done right, and I can't really teach someone right now how to do it.
No.
In place of me.
No, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? So eventually, like there's going to be a time where I will for sure need a number 2. But I want to make sure I'm going to need number 2 when I start making wine. I know that.
No.
So
no doubt. Where do you see the wine MVP 5 years from now?
So 5 years from now, I see the wine MVP becoming like a beverage group. Meaning right now it's a concierge and a wine club, but I want to start making our own brands, our own labels.
Okay.
So we'll pretty much, wine MVP is going to be a big umbrella, and then eventually, you know, like I said, have our own wines, and then, you know, I've been speaking to some brewers, I've been speaking to some, you know, spirits people. So just start having our own stuff. And I think, because for me, that just sounds fun. And obviously it's going to be way more scalable and better margins, all that.
Hey, you know what I see in the future, Will? I see it, Athletes and Assets, Wine MVP collaboration event at Whitehall, down that road in Napa, with a bunch of VCs, athletes, and some cool people.
I mean, that can happen sooner than later. It doesn't have to be down the road. That's what we do. We can turn that on.
Yeah, no, for real. Yeah, let's absolutely. But Will, really appreciate the time, man. It's been another great episode with NFL veteran, Sommelier, co-founder, Wine MVP, my man Will Blackmon. Will, I really appreciate your time, brother. Best of luck, and you know, hopefully, you know, maybe I can see a little starter pack in the future. Try to see what the best, the finest. Finest of wines tastes like. Maybe get into that lifestyle a little bit.
Nah, no question. No, I appreciate it. 'Cause I'll be up there. The winemaker I found, she's from up there. So.
Okay. No doubt.